Hello guys, welcome to this new video. Today we dive into the murder of Babo, a well-respected THF gang member. It all started on 12th April 2016 at 10:25 in the morning. The Chicago Police Department received a warrant of the magistrate to arrest Belmont Kamari, also known as Babo. Babo was arrested on separate armed robbery charges, one robbery, where the victim died 3 weeks later to a gunshot wound. The officers explained to Babo that he was arrested under suspicion of a first-degree murder. On May 1, 2015, Babo and Terrence Hogans, also known as Sasa THF 46, were involved in an armed robbery during which a 40-year-old man was shot. The victim died to his injuries 3 weeks later due to complications from the gunshot wounds. Authorities said that during their arrest, Sasa, who had a handgun on his waist, got out of the car, rushed toward an officer, and threw his forearm into the chest. An officer shot him in the arm and chest, causing him to flee, but he was later arrested while being treated for his wounds at a hospital. In May 2012, a man named Lil Chief was killed by Babo after he allegedly tried to turn his life around and get away from gang life. Lil Chief did have involvement with the 051 gang in Chicago, repping an older set. So let's look at the story of Bob and his troubled enemies. Babo tracked down Big Freaky from Dreck's side in 2011 and killed him along with Bucky THF 46, who was later arrested for his murder. It turned out that Big Freaky was taking it easy when Babo and Bucky tried to stop him while robbing him. Freaky didn't want to hand over his stuff and was shot during the robbery. The second victim of Babo was Lil Chief, who was shot and killed in May 2012. Tragically, Lil Chief was a father of 4 and was striving to improve his life by working as a day laborer at the time of his death. Babo would persist in clashing with his rivals, pursuing his enemies on numerous occasions. Babo took pleasure in targeting his enemies, often scouting their neighborhoods for a chance to confront them. When he spotted an enemy, he didn't hesitate to take action. Babo had a penchant for robbing individuals in Chicago, often targeting them for drugs, cash, and jewelry. Babo discovered a simple way to make money, and it involved committing robberies. While in Chicago, he kept stealing from people, which earned him respect in the streets. This revealed that Babo was active in the region. Babo targeted several individuals, and one notable incident involved him confronting an armed gang member named Tay600. In a tense confrontation, Babo found himself face-to-face with Tay600, who was armed and wearing a chain that gleamed in the light. Babo, known for his quick thinking and sharp instincts, saw an opportunity in the heated moment. Despite Tay600 holding a weapon, Babo wasn't intimidated. The situation escalated quickly, but Babo's calm demeanor allowed him to remain focused on the task at hand. In one fluid motion, Babo made a move to disarm Tay600 using his experience and knowledge of robbing people. He expertly neutralized the threat, knocking the weapon from Tay600's grip. At the same time, he seized the opportunity to grab the chain that hung around Tay600's neck. With a swift tug, Babo yanked it off, catching Tay600 off guard. Within seconds, Tay600 was left both unarmed and without his prized possession, the chain that had once symbolized his street credibility. Babo would continue stealing from individuals regardless of their identification. People were afraid of him because he was careless. During a successful period, he shot at GBE Capo and also robbed Chief Keef. Now that we have heard some stories of Babo, let's unveil what happened the night he died and who was responsible for it. On a chilling evening in Chicago, the city was about to witness yet another tragic act of violence. What started as a moment of freedom ended in senseless bloodshed. For Kamari Belmont, it would be a night he would never walk away from. Just 30 minutes before his death, Kamari Belmont was released from Cook County Jail. After posting 10% of a $100,000 bond on separate armed robbery charges, he was free to walk out of the doors of the jail. A brief taste of freedom, but one that would be short-lived. Belmont had been facing serious charges, having recently beat a murder charge earlier in the year due to a legal technicality. But even with a chance to clear his name, the streets of Chicago are often a far more dangerous battlefield. And for Kamari, that battle was far from over. Moments after being freed, Kamari climbed into a blue Dodge Avenger driven by a man who had come to pick him up. They were headed southbound on California Avenue, their path illuminated by the faint glow of traffic lights. But as they neared the light at the I-55 on-ramp, an ominous silence hung in the air before it was shattered by the deafening sound of gunfire. Without warning, a white truck, driven by unknown assailants, pulled up beside them. The sound of gunfire shattered the calm. The driver of the blue Dodge Avenger heard the shots and, terrified, fled the scene, leaving Kamari Belmont behind, helpless and exposed. Witnesses in their own vehicles saw the horror unfold. They watched as the driver and a back passenger of the white truck opened fire, aiming directly at Kamari's vehicle. Gunshots rang out, the rapid-fire crackle filling the night air as the truck sped off, leaving chaos in its wake. I saw them pull up, and then the shots. They fired at that blue car just like that. It happened so fast I couldn't even think. They sped off, and I stayed right there, too scared to move. It was insane. I heard the shots, but I couldn't see anything else. I was just in shock, waiting until the police showed up. The white truck sped away into the night, disappearing from the scene as quickly as it had appeared. But the damage had already been done. Kamari Belmont, now a target of a violent act, lay critically injured in the car. By the time police arrived, Kamari Belmont was already lying on the cold street, unresponsive. The officers found over 24 shell casings scattered around the intersection, evidence of the rapid barrage of gunfire. At least 21 bullet holes marked the passenger side of the Dodge Avenger, where Kamari had been seated. Kamari had been struck by multiple bullets in his right rear hip, left side of his back, his upper left leg, and potentially his chest. The scene painted a chilling picture of violence. His autopsy also shows us 19 gunshot wounds. Entry or exit is currently unknown. Despite the valiant efforts of paramedics, Kamari was declared dead at 11:57 p.m., less than 30 minutes after being freed from jail. His life, once again taken by the streets of Chicago, had come to a tragic and abrupt end. As the investigation unfolded, it was revealed that the suspects had abandoned their white Chevy Traverse just a short distance from the scene. Officers recovered a firearm near the driver's side door. The vehicle had been involved in a separate accident shortly after the shooting. So now let's unveil who was behind this murder. Reports quickly pointed to 3 individuals: KD, the driver, Uchi, the shooter, and Rose, another shooter. This was no random act of violence. This was a targeted hit. One key development in the investigation came from a witness who was in the area when Babo was shot. This witness was able to identify one of the shooters, Rose. In an emotional recount of the events, the witness described seeing Rose, firing the shots that killed Babo. Then came the breakthrough in the case: DNA evidence. A Newport cigarette butt discarded in the cup holder of the vehicle used by the suspects after the murder provided the crucial link. Forensic analysis confirmed that the DNA on the cigarette belonged to none other than David Adjaye, aka Ochi. Through DNA analysis, Uchi's connection to the crime scene became undeniable. The cigarette, casually tossed aside in the vehicle, became one of the key pieces of evidence tying him to Babo's murder. But while Uchi and Rose were the ones firing the shots, KD's role in this murder was crucial. He was the driver of the white truck, the getaway vehicle that sped off after the shooting. His actions that night made him just as guilty, providing the transportation that allowed the shooters to escape the scene. Skinny from Jaro, also known as Skinny, allegedly played a significant role in the investigation of Babo's murder by providing information to the police. According to reports, in 2021, Skinny was involved in a legal case of his own, and in exchange for assistance in beating his own case, he reportedly named the suspects involved in the murder of Babo. He allegedly identified the individuals involved, which included Uchi, KD, and Rose, as being responsible for Babo's killing. This information was instrumental in the investigation and helped law enforcement piece together the timeline and roles of the individuals involved. To summarize, Skinny from Jaro's role was as an informant, potentially helping authorities by giving crucial details about the suspects involved in Babo's murder, possibly in return for a reduced sentence or to avoid prosecution. However, it's important to note that these details are based on police reports and statements, and the situation is a part of an ongoing investigation. Currently, KD, Rose, and Ochi are still waiting to be sentenced. If you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you guys would leave a sub and a like. Maybe interact with a comment too. Thanks.